and welcome to Mastering Music with Matthew number 8. We're going to be exploring negative harmony today for the purposes of songwriting. Let's explore the major scale. Music Theory for Guitar. Make sure you check them out and subscribe to their channel. They've got lots of great videos, including videos on negative harmony. We have our stable tones, or our C major chord, C, E, G. And then you see that there's unstable or active tones, D, F, A, and B. And there's arrows that explain the direction they like to resolve. See, D can resolve either way, resolving up to an E or resolving down to a C. So here's our D, resolving down to a C, or resolving up to an E. Our F note is going to want to resolve down to the E note. Our A note is going to resolve down to our G note. And our B is going to want to resolve up to our C note. So we're going to want to keep these resolutions. We're going to want to keep the same stable tones and the same unstable or active tones as we are doing our negative harmony exploration. So if we take and we map our chromatic scale around in a circle, starting on C, moving around, you can see we're moving up our chromatic scale and we're labeling them all. C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, and so on all the way around back to A, B flat, B, C. Then you can see that we have these arrows and an axis. The axis is dividing this into a top column and a bottom column, and then we're going to go ahead and substitute notes. So, for example, a C chord, we'd be substituting the C for a G. We'd be substituting the E for an E flat, and we would be substituting the G for a C. So basically, really, the only thing that changed is the E changed to an E flat, because C substituted for G, and G substituted for C. So we changed a C major chord into a C minor chord. Do you see how this works? In fact, if we take and we flip all the notes of our C major scale around this axis, C flips to G, D flips to F, E flips to E flat, F flips to D, G flips to C, A flips to B flat, and B flips to A flat. So that's actually a C minor scale. Okay, so the idea of borrowing chords is not new. That's something that's been around for quite some time. But negative harmony is unique because it also allows us to create a negative melody that goes with this negative harmony so beautifully. And the thing is that we're transforming stable tones into stable tones and unstable or active tones into unstable or active tones. But that's not where this ends. We can also write this in a way where we're writing our circle of fifths. See here, starting with C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat, F. We've got our whole circle of fifths right here. And you can see we're swapping our tones here. We're taking and putting our axis between 1 and 5, the same place it was before. Right? So C swaps for G, F swaps for D, B flat swaps for A, E flat swaps for E, A flat swaps for B, and D flat swaps for F sharp. Oh my goodness, this is the exact same, this is the exact same thing. How did it, writing it chromatically, writing a circle of fifths, it's the same thing. How is this possible? That's always how music works. I love it. What if we want to do a different key than C, right? Okay, well, we're understanding this axis thing, but we're not understanding how to transpose it. Well, say we wanted to be in the key of E, okay? Here's E, and here's its dominant, B. So if we put this axis in between, now we're in the key of E. And so E is going to swap for E, A is going to swap for F sharp, D is going to swap for D flat, G is going to swap for A flat, C is going to swap for E flat, and F is going to swap for B flat. Do you understand? So now we're in a different key, but we can use the same axis based on the circle of fifths, and we can also use the same axis based on the chromatic scale, whichever one is easier for you, whichever one you think makes more sense to you. I kind of like the circle of fifths one myself, because I'm more used to writing the circle of fifths in a circle than writing the chromatic scale in a circle. But that's just me. So what can we do with all this? Why are we flopping notes and chords around axes? Why are we mixing major scales and minor scales? What's the point? Well, I think a lot of us tend to write in a major key or write in a minor key. And, most of the time, we may have some times where we go to our relative minor or whatever, but most of the time, we're staying mostly pretty safe in our little chords. But what if we want to create something really beautiful? I talked about this in the My Future videos by Billie Eilish, the beautiful negative harmonies in it. The most common negative harmony is to substitute our fifth chord with a minor version of our fourth chord. So let me show you how that works. Going back to our axis here, we'll just go back to the key of C because that's really friendly for most people. Okay, so if we take our G chord, right, and we swap our G for a C, we swap a B for an A flat, and we swap a D for an F, we now have C, F, A flat instead of G, B, D. Do you see how that works? We're swapping the notes. So instead of playing a G chord, in my chord progression, I could substitute an F minor chord. And what this chord is going to give me is the same number of active notes, but it's going to approach from a different way. It's going to feel different. So let's say my chord progression was a C, A minor, F, G. Very similar turnaround progression. So taking this progression and adding that negative harmony to the dominant chord is going to give this really nice F minor sound here instead of the G. Now it's still going to resolve to the C, and that's the beautiful thing. We can also invert and allow the melody and the chord progression at the same time. So this is really where the negative harmony is set up different from just borrowing chords. Okay, so what are some other cool things we could do with negative harmony? Well, one of the things I wanted to discuss was from flipping things around a little bit and seeing how they flipped around, I realized something. If you take your one chord and you flip it around, right, you get the minor of the one. Okay, if you take the 4 chord and you flip it around, you get the minor of the 5, and if you take the 5 chord and flip it around, you get the minor of the 4. All these come right out of the C minor scale, okay, or whatever minor scale, whatever key you're in. But the neat thing is, G to C is a fourth, G, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, and C to G is a fifth, C, D, E, F, G. So you can see these flip in negative harmony the same way that they flip in intervals. Well, this is really neat because if we take and we flip the other chords around, a 6 becomes a 3, and a 2 becomes a 7. What? So if you take a 2 chord and you flip it around, you get, from the minor, you get the major version of the 7 chord. Okay? Are you following me? So, for example, if you take in the key of C a D minor chord, D, F, A, and you flip it around, the F and the A are going to basically stay the F and the D are going to flip around each other. They're going to stay the same, both of them. So the only thing that's going to happen is the A is going to change to a B flat. What do we have now? We have a B flat chord. 1, 6, and then 4, 5. Let's try this. 1, 6, flat 7, 5. Just that one little half step different made a big difference from the D minor to the B flat chord. We could do this again with our A minor chord. We can flip it around and we're going to get an E flat chord. So if we take that same chord progression, C, A minor, D minor, G, but we flip around just the A minor, we're going to get this. Kind of neat, huh? Or, what if we take and we invert the F minor to and the 5 chord and make it also negative? So here we've got C, E flat, D minor, F minor. Pretty nice, huh? Just taking and flipping a couple of the chords around and using them as the version from the minor scale, the negative version. Now, we're not going to be flipping around the 4 chord to the 5 very much, because the 5 minor generally is not going to be that used of a chord unless we're in a natural minor. But so I said before, flipping our 5 chord around into a minor 4 is the most common negative harmony, but then there's all kinds of other negative harmonies we can do too. I really like shifting the 6 chord into the major version of that flat 3. Okay, I really like shifting the minor 2 chord into the flat 7 of the minor, and I also really enjoy flipping, you know, the 2s and the 3s and the 6s and the 7s just the same way. You flip those intervals, the 2s and the 7s and the 3s and the 6s, the same way you can flip the negative harmonies. There's so much we can do with this. It's really cool. We can explore all the different keys. We can explore all the different cool chord progressions we can do. But the ideas are the same. Try to think of it in theory terms, right? Flipping 1 for 1 minor. That way you can know it for every key, right? You're flipping a 4 for a 5 minor, right? You're flipping a 5 for a 4 minor. Are you following what I'm saying? You're flipping a 2 minor for a 7 major. You're flipping a 3 minor for a 6 major. Or you're flipping a 6 minor for a 3 major. Either way, you're changing tonalities, but you're not changing which notes are active. The same notes are active and the same notes are stable. Beautiful thing. Totally new way to approach harmonizing. So some suggestions for how could I use this to improve my songwriting. Create your chorus first, and then create, you know, a verse section using some negative harmony or a negative melody from your chorus. Negative melodies is a whole nother topic that we're going to talk about in another video. So I really appreciate you guys being with me on Mastering Music with Matthew, where we explored negative harmony together. And if you guys want to sign up for music lessons with me on Zoom, it's only $20 for a half-hour lesson. You can find me right now at MatthewsMusicLessonStudio.com. Sign up and we can do all kinds of advanced music lessons. It's really fun. I'll see you guys next time on Matthew's Music Lesson Studio.